just remember that when we need to go to the dentist, when we need to go to a surgery, at the operations room, all the devices that are there, they all have precious metals, specific metals, critical metals actually for not only the energy transition but several sectors that the European Union economy depends on, and that's why the European Union is becoming more and more focus on providing and keeping materials and loops within the European Union as much as we can, because we are dependent a lot on external providers. And if they increase the price, if a war started, as we already seen in these last years, some products don't reach, and you need solutions. So it's very important that the next time you are giving a pacemaker to your patient, that this pacemaker have print circuit boards that have gold, silver, palladium, all these precious metals, that at the end, if then you can recycle it in a of course according to all the health safety rules that you might have, you are enhancing and boosting this economy and lowering the dependence on external.
Are you an entrepreneur looking to disrupt the healthcare industry? Do you want to stay on top of the latest innovations and trends in the world of health and wellness? My name is Gonzalo, and I welcome you to this brand new podcast titled Healthcare Disruptors, that explores the intersection of entrepreneurship and healthcare. In this series, we will be talking with entrepreneurs, experts, and CEOs who are revolutionizing the healthcare sector through cutting-edge technologies, products, digital services, and much more. Healthcare Disruptors is brought to you by the EIT Health Innovators Community, a network of professionals who are passionate about revolutionizing the healthcare industry. Join the community today. Welcome everyone to this new chapter of Healthcare Disruptor podcast. Today we have Francisco Veiga. He came from Portugal because he is from Portugal, and let me introduce him. He finished a PhD in sustainable building materials almost 2 years ago. He's geoscientist for sustainable development with more than 5 years of experience in turning waste into resources. Very important topic. Neutral-oriented problem solver for a better world, combining environmental and socioeconomic boundaries. He is the lead alumni nodes and ecosystem developer at EIT Alumni Board. Welcome, Francisco. Happy to have you here.
Gonzalo, thank you so much for this kind invitation. I'm super excited for this to contribute to this podcast. Even though, as you said, I'm a geoscientist, so my background doesn't come from the health care area, but I do think, and I'm very interested in this discussion, because only with multidisciplinarity of fields we can really provide better solutions. And sometimes the link is not so direct, but there is a direct link, of course, with raw materials and health area. So I'm looking forward to this talk with you. Thank you, Gonzalo, once again.
Same here. Thanks for being here. And just to give a little bit of context to the audience, we met each other in the EIT Connect, where alumni from different EIT kicks are connected in this event. And we met with Francisco last November in Barcelona. And also talking about joining different topics. I mean, how difficult is being like the current position you have, that is very, very oriented business, and the one that you already achieved, that is running a PhD. How difficult it's been the business area compared with the more scientific area?
Great. If I may add, great question, Gonzalo. The link sometimes, as everyone thinks of a PhD in a more academic setting, for me, I had the luck, for me at least, to actually do an industrial PhD. So I actually was employed by one of the biggest producers of ceramics in the world to do this Marie Curie fellowship. It was a PhD, a big European project with 15 researchers spread out around Europe. And for me was relating my PhD with business was, I mean, a thing that was kind of natural because I was employed by a company. I really assess, and that's why in your introduction, I mean, sustainability, you have to assess also, the economics, the business of it, not only the environmental, but also the social and the economics of it. So in a way, my topic, which is sustainable building materials, which was incorporation of mining waste in building ceramics, roof tiles, bricks, that I proved that up to 40% of mine waste could be incorporated in one specific product company. And yeah, the advantage of using this waste material was obvious. And I think joining the business and my entrepreneurial side helped me a lot because before my PhD, I had already helped to found a startup company in Portugal that is still up since 2017. It's more about geological tourism. So actually pedestrian routes, giving information to people on a mobile app about what are the geological features, promoting a bit, the natural and geological heritage of Portugal. And after that, that was during my master's. After I finished my master's, I did an internship at a startup company at the Instituto Pedro Nunes in Coimbra, Portugal. And it was there that I had the chance actually to participate in also a summer school from EIT Climate Kick. And that in 2018 was my link. So I always, in a way, even though I end up with a PhD that could think about more in academic field, I would say that with all my background since my master, since the startup, and also participating in EIT funded programs and activities, actually winning the audience award of the journey from 2018, which made me then develop also entrepreneurial business project around electronic waste. And was only after that project, or even during that project, that I accepted the PhD and I moved to where I am still today after 5 years in Belgium, where I actually finished that PhD that was in a company, in a ceramic producer that is located here where I live in Kortrijk, Belgium, the West Flanders region.
Good to hear that, and good how you combine and you move smooth from the scientific, more educational side to the business side, because at the end we need people like you that combine this kind of stuff and feel comfortable, and at the end you could add, you could be a bridge between these two sides. Well, there are many topics you touch, and before the recording started, we were talking about that you are the one of the first ones who are not a CEO of a company right now, but you founded one. So I'm gonna start first of all with the topic, because you are part of the community of EIT. I don't know if EIT Innovators Community or what, but what for you, that you also run a position of governance. What is the best part of being part of a community like this?
I mean, the best part is the sheer amount of knowledge of people that you cross by, of fields, including yourself. Just by networking in on one of our flagship events of the EIT Alumni Board that I represent. I come from originally from, as I told you, Climate Kick alumni. Then I also attended an event of Energy, and then finally I cemented myself with EIT at EIT Raw Materials because I participated in some entrepreneurial programs, the Jump Starter, and also another PhD courses also online. And that's when I decided then to also apply and run for the alumni board of EIT Raw Materials, which actually led me to the EIT alumni board. Once I was also elected president of the EIT Raw Materials alumni board. And I mean, the community, it's so incredible that I think it has to be the largest, and I can say is the largest innovation community around sustainability topics, around different areas. We are 9 kicks. All of them have alumni. I mean, just culture and creativity is recently forming and graduating their first alumni from that program, because the kick just started, the knowledge innovation community. We talk about all these EIT kicks and stuff, but sometimes it's important to also tell people actually what EIT means, the European Institute of Innovation and Technology, which is a body of the European Union, receives funding to actually address these societal challenges through different topics. And from climate to food, you have a lot, and even newer ones coming up in the future. And I think is really combining these different fields, combining different positions in life, positions professionally, positions also personally, because I do think that having such a diverse, multicultural, and multidisciplinarity group of people that we are, over 15,000, 16,000, I don't know, the numbers keep growing, from all these 8 plus 1 that is forming now an alumni communities. I think that's the biggest advantage, because a person, I'm Portuguese, I come from Portugal, I live in Belgium, my mindset moving here also changed. So people, depending where the country and what are the work routines and the way they were taught, they complement each other, because people see problems different, the same problem different ways. And I do think this is the biggest added value of such a community as the IT alumni, that represents all the other KICS alumni. And I think is really the value of combining different perspectives, for solving a specific solution in a field, in a particular field, but you don't need just the knowledge from that field. You need the whole knowledge to then really have a full sustainable growth, because you cannot just say that you are doing something environmentally if you don't look to the economic and social aspects of that implementation, So I think for a greener, better society, I take my hat off for all the work that EIT has been doing, and all the several KICs, because they are forming the next change makers of Europe. And they are not only Europeans, they are a mix of everywhere in the world, people that get funded, master degrees, PhD degrees on top universities with top researchers, top entrepreneurial programs. It's very important to start training people, especially to address sustainable challenges that we all face nowadays.
Good. I love your answer, and thank you for explaining what EIT is and what KIC means. Same. And the question now is going through all the different countries where you live, all the different programs where you were, and also you were talking about chain makers. At the end, we want, or you want to lead the impact on the society, but as you said, there are many people from different countries, from different origins,
Backgrounds. Yeah.
from different backgrounds. What's the way you use to lead this kind of groups with different perspectives, from different backgrounds and origins?
Yeah, that's very good, because sometimes can be a bit overwhelming, because you need to combine a lot of brains into solving one solution. But I do think, and my own experience, for example, with a volunteering project that I'm having on the IT alumni board, I joined a team of 8 volunteers from actually the community, from different KICS alumni, the knowledge innovation communities alumni. And they actually, when I mean, when you have something structured, a project, tasks, the milestones, you you cannot just stick with that. You have to give space for people to also provide opinion. But then there is a need to filter because it's what is needed and what is less needed. Is not saying that is less important, but is very important for as a management, and this happens a lot as team leaders, team management, that you really, really have the capacity to really filter or push and actually to know the people that you work with to try to extract the best and actually know how to communicate with them because it's very important. You have to see that I've been with the IT at the alumni boards at raw materials. This is all volunteering. It's all time that I'm taking that I could put into something else. So it's very important when you are dealing with volunteering members that you give space to them to also print their mark on what they are doing, but also to be flexible and to adapt and to get to know them a bit better because you cannot demand the same way as if it was an employee of yours. So this is really very much the challenge, but I do think that my right answer would be with a great structure allowing openness and brainstorm of ideas like we did. We had this project that we wanted to open physical spaces for alumni, any alumni from any KIC to use within EIT KIC's office spaces. So what we did a hotspot assessment. I saw who were the ones best to do that, equipped, by their background, end up to be a IT woman and another person that was actually a startup founder that already did a lot of hotspot assessment on innovation entrepreneurship. So I make use of these 2 out of 8 people to do this. In the same time, I align other, partnerships. For example, look for partnerships with a person that has more experience with governance bodies, governmental bodies, or with governance. So actually really a really good thing we did was actually always think upstream, and I will finish my reply with this. It's actually when we were recruiting and we opened the call to any alumni, as you might see in our social media channels where we advertise back in some time ago, about a year ago, March 2023. We included a personality test. So you not only send your motivation and your curriculum to be part of this, operational team that will establish a physical space that already exists, but will provide this to the alumni community, which we will open this month, which I'm very happy to announce later on our talk, if possible. And we actually combine 4 teams of 2 people each, but we actually combine their personalities. So they actually could work better because people are different. Some people can are more in sync, others not. So this is also a good way to optimize, your workflow and the way you actually work with people. Because I keep thinking I'm not a health, but I love health because all of us need health, regardless the field, mental and physical health, regardless the field. um Mental health especially, because without mental health you can be all good, but we do know that, yeah, it's vital for our well-being. So I do think that it's always very important to look at these other more health psychological things apart from the topic, that the people are expert with. So I think this good management skills would optimize anyone coming from a background and dealing with a team of different backgrounds. But if you have the same willingness, the goal is clear for everyone. I think this also makes it way easier, and people go with the flow. And yeah, all these techniques that I was telling you to do it a bit upstream and not downstream when problems occur is very good to avoid certain, especially again on a volunteering basis.
I think, as you said, Francisco, is very important. The soft skills, as the empathy, and also wearing the shoes of the others. and understanding that also is a volunteer. So it's important to understand how we could feel if we were in that position. And also you were talking about chain makers, and one of the questions that I used to ask for of to our guest is what is the meaning of being a disruptor? But because the name of the podcast is Healthcare Disruptor, so I will add for you what is the meaning of being a disruptor, and how do you identify a chain maker?
Well, for me, I think it's very simple. Disruptors, change makers, doers, whatever you want to call it, are people that are moved, are passionate about the cause they are supporting. And normally the cause has a sustainable or humanitarian overall aim, right? To provide something better for society. And to provide something better, you really need this knowledge. That's why these innovation communities are essential for this progress, and to actually to know what is better, what is priority this year, next year, to kind of map, because it's a fast changing world. So we really need to adapt very fast to all of this new technology, a new world that we are living. I would say it's a new world. We don't notice because it goes so fast, but we are creating several new worlds, amongst us. And we just, my generation. I'm in my 30s, so in my early 30s, so 31, and I already saw so much change. From the pager that my father had on his belt till now that I have, yeah, all these connective devices all together, iPad, tablet, smartphones, whatever. But for me, to reply to that, it's any person that is moved by a cause, a general cause, as I told you, sometimes even more humanitarian, do good for the overall well-being of everyone else and society in general, but that goes a bit beyond the common sense, or goes a bit beyond the circle that society is a bit formed, or business as usual are being done. So is someone that looks to provide a solution to a problem, but uh, actually tries to disassemble the problem in different ways, or in ways that people, oh, this do not have solution. No, we actually, let's think about it. It's thinkers that think about their own expertise. If they don't know it, they will acquire for somebody or something else. And they try to combine all these areas, especially entrepreneurship, that gives you the tools, and gave me the tools when I helped in Portugal to found a company, when I had the entrepreneurial project in the Netherlands around electronic waste. These were the tools that EIT actually in the programs form, are the tools like, for example, when you don't really know the exact problem you are tackling, use Simon Sinek theory of the 5 whys. Question you why 5 times. Why do I need this? Because of this. Why? Because of this. Why? Because of this. And you go to the root problem. And this is really important when you are defining what your startup, your venture is doing, and what are the values, what is the mission, the vision is very important to actually know the problem. The ways you solve, it's where the disruptors, where the change makers are put into place, because they are like an army that disassemble the problems and tackles the problem through different disruptive solutions. What can I say? I can give a own example of the electronic waste. No disclaimer needed. I also think public knowledge is very needed, and I think people is very. I love to share. I'm based on that. Of course, when you go to business, you have to deal a bit different. But this was an entrepreneurial project we had. But for example, we wanted to boost the collection of electronic waste in Utrecht, the Netherlands. that was the task we were set to do after winning the contest, and we got a free incubation at the incubator, which also provides you the tools and mentors. Is very important that the change makers also are aware of these leaders, perhaps more senior leaders that can pass, and this becomes the intergenerational collaboration that is vital, for progress too, and for us as youngsters, if you can call us young. I think, yeah, now still until 35 you are considered young. On our parents was not the case, but yes, we are still young. But you really, for example, we tackled the electronic waste collection in a more disruptive way. Why? Because we look at what already goes to the house of people. Like, if people want to, the phone, their own phone, to send it, a cable, a tablet, I don't know, something electronic, that sometimes you have only specific points in supermarket or something, and we know that the recycling rate is not that high. The Nordics, yes, they do have more implementation, and they are normally quite high compared to Central and Southern Europe. But yeah, even Central Europe, we are facing this lower recycling rate. So we wanted to boost. So what already goes? Oh, you can order a burger and someone comes, right? So why not doing the reverse logistic approach in a delivery company? So we partnered with Takeaway to actually, boost this collection, of people, of individuals. Then, of course, you face problems of people, privacy issues, security, but these are things that as you go, you try to tackle, Also the food safety, you have to have a sealed bag so it doesn't pass to the bag of the rider. All these are the questions that you go along, but you also part of your solution was through a thing that was already existing. And this is very good because you are lowering a lot of impact, environmental, economically. So you are using reverse logistics to actually get something, because especially takeaway, not Uber Eats or other ones that actually are decentralized. Takeaway was centralized. So all the riders need at the end of their shift to go and drop the bike and the bag at a specific place. With Uber, it's not the case. You go back home and you continue next day. So after assessing all these, delivery companies, we did this, and was, of course, we face with individuals, we face things, but we got a lot, and we actually resell, reuse, and recycle if no use was given, or reuse was given to this electronic waste, or was too expensive to repair to put back in the second-hand market. We actually proved, and especially with institutions, when you work with companies that are universities or, polytechnic institutes that need to renovate, and they have several screens, something that are still good for some people, and you can put back in the market with more or less repair, then it's up to the financials for you to work out, So this was really, I think with this, I could give a great example of a disruption, how to implement a disruptive system that is there, but nobody thought about it. Why not using it,
Yeah, at the end, it's a matter of questioning yourself as an individual, questioning your company, and also don't reinvent the wheel, because at the end there are many things that have been done already that you can
Exactly.
reuse for your mission, vision, to give your values value. Good. And
I'm
also, I mean, wait, do you want to add something?
Yeah, I wanted to add to your phrase because, sorry, we talk as we go. But it's exactly what you say, it's like the pool is already full of people and systems. So why not trying to figure out, easiest way to implement something, minimizing the footprint? Of course, starting something will imply that you will have an impact, but you could have a less impactful presence and work more towards, carbon neutrality, everything. Of course, if you start something, there is somewhere else that you will emit something, but you can minimize that by thinking on this pool already full of people with no space for swimming. So how can we connect different, sectors, activities? This is why I also loved this possibility to talk about, the more a bit the raw materials field, as I was just talking about this example, the entrepreneur, but it can be linked with health. And later on, I can explain a bit what really is this link with health and raw materials, which I think is very obvious, but sometimes we don't really assume it or
Yeah.
have it on our mind.
Yeah. And just to closing up the previous question, at the end is in order to reduce the waste, it's a matter of less is more, because at the end, and thinking about minimalism, we have more than we need. So at the end, we go back to the beginning of being a disruptor. That is questioning yourself. Sometimes we don't question ourselves, our companies, or whatever. And maybe before jumping the connection between these raw materials and healthcare, maybe because you started a company, you've been in touch with a lot of people from EIT, so you know it very well from inside. So for you as an individual, or maybe if you can give like an overall picture regarding the acceleration programs, or the things that EIT in general can give you, or have given you the most through your experience.
For me, I would classify, and indeed, I that's why I think I becoming I took so much from EIT funding programs from different kicks that now I felt the need, and that's why I'm representing the alumni board and volunteering. I giving back because I receive a lot from this community. I can highlight like three, I would say, a bit more advanced. First, get the basics of entrepreneurship. There are several online courses provided by several kicks. There are also summer schools on that topic, on different, on climate, on raw materials, on health. EIT Health has actually a lot. You have a huge community of innovators too, and several entrepreneurial programs, especially on your area. That startups every day there is, I don't know the sheer amount of startups in health that pop up. But yeah, get the basics. So look at EIT to really get the basics. Basics why? Because, for example, for my participation in the summer school, I was in contact with a coach that first was a very high recognizable British person that got a MBE, was a member of the British Empire by the Queen. So you actually get in contact with these top experts. He was condecorated by helping UK changing or transitioning to a more energy efficient country on the renewables. And I learned so much from the basics, from doing games with your team to actually try to solve a problem, thinking with colors, with drawings, with a more, I do think entrepreneurship is a lot like a kid in kindergarten. You are amazed by, and you start drawing, you start painting colors for you to remember and stuff. So I do think entrepreneurship is highlighting one of our best moments of our lives, which is our first 5 years, I would say, that our brain is a sponge, that we are attracted to colors, that we like drawing, that we invent, we are creative at our most, and entrepreneurship. And I had to enter back my creativity in my life. So that's why I found the IT in 2018 in a conference, and then I started applying for these programs. And actually, they were funded. So you actually needed to pay the flights to wherever you do. I remember in 2018, don't know, perhaps now you can even have the full amount covered. So actually, through these European funds, you are actually for free gaining training on these topics with the best experts. Basics. Then a bit more advanced, I would say, to actually start some pre-incubation or incubation programs. So actually, these are programs done in incubators that help you to figure out, the stakeholder mapping, the business model canvas that you already learning the basics, but now is a bit more applied. So first the basics theoretically with some practical examples, which you have several courses, summer schools. Then a bit the advance is when you enter in a pre-incubation program, not acceleration yet, because that is my third thing, and really get the grasp, pivot, try different scenarios, do your customer mapping, customer segments, the personas, your customer personas, what will be your clients, what is your range, work out a lot the financials. This is a thing that in the basics it's very, very essential. Work out the financials. If you are not from a financial background, please find someone and look for a mentor that can provide you this, because certain or the majority of startups fail because really the financials are not worked out, especially in the current market and changing market that demands a lot of different sources of revenue, and some not just one, because if you are dependent in one and the crisis come, you are gone. So it's very important to have this. And lastly, of course, is the acceleration. Is when you already figure out your way, you already test more than once your product service, and you move forward, and you have this support of EIT funded programs to actually boost and reach the market in a better stage, and yeah, disrupt a bit the market, because let's not forget all these programs and stuff. They incentivize you to think a bit beyond the borders. That there we go, the disruptors, the change makers. So it's trying to find solutions that are out of ordinary.
Good explanation. And also, all the conversation, during all the conversation, I have the question surrounding me about if you are more research oriented or business focused, but you explain how you can change your mind from a research oriented person into a business focused person through the acceleration programs of EIT Health. But I will let figure out the audience if they think that you are more research oriented or business focused. But first, and before going to the end of the interview, we would like to hear you talking about the connection between healthcare and raw materials, because I think could be pretty interesting, and I'm looking forward to hearing you about it.
I mean, before even starting on the topic, I wanted just to do a frame, because times are changing, and all areas are touching circular economy. First of all, I don't like to call economy. I like to call circular thinking, because it's only when people think that they can put into action, and then the economy change. So it's very important for me that we create these thinkers, these circular thinkers. Sometimes circular is not accurate picture of circular economy, because it's never a closed loop. You always have emissions, have waste, but you can minimize that, and you can almost close the loop. But any process, even recycling, you spend energy, everything, and this is really what I do think people need to first have more information, know where to look for. We actually need more startups, more doers, actually boosting business transparency, brand trusty awareness, because nowadays it's becoming a bit crowded on this greenwashing, who does this, who does not, or there's just a few percentage, but the overall core business stays the same. Sometimes it's very important also. This is a big topic. on the transparency to civil society, because you cannot obligate someone to do a bachelor, a master's on a specific topic to know if he should buy this or that, of course not. But this is where it comes. I do think in the next years, if we really want to achieve this sustainable growth, development, and all the CGDs we have, CDGs we have, Sustainable Development Goals, assembled by the United Nations, as we all know, we really need to have here the media, like a very good media channel to provide this knowledge from research, from academia, from also business and industry and clusters, because some have the knowledge in theory, the other ones have the knowledge also in practice and what works or not. A science project could work in the lab, but could not work in the in the street, in the real life, in society as well, by several factors. So it's really important that people get this information to this, I don't know, some media source that traduce this. And this was so important in Corona, when we had a health disruption throughout the world. Nobody knew who to trust, of course, the World Health Organization was the one everyone was looking to, but it's very important to be people to pass the research and the knowledge, to society. Otherwise, you can create panic and misconfusion, misinterpretation, confusion amongst people. So it's very important to have a clear message, to validate your source, and then to translate, to really have this effective change in person. And the other thing is that the 3 R's policy that I learned in school nowadays have 7 or even more R's. And what this means is that you, before acquiring a product or a service, doesn't matter your area, your need, personal, professional, you have to do all these, all this list of, you have to rethink. You have to rethink your daily consumption habits. Do I need to buy this? Do I already have? I could, for example, bought a new watch, because I can also I can also not buy it because I can see it in my mobile phone, right? But I also like watches. Okay, so what I did, I asked my father, do you have a watch that you don't use? And my father had. It was already a bit used, and nowadays it's my watch. This was my father for 20 years. Is a watch that I just replaced the bracelet, because the bracelet was from fabric, was already used for several years by my father. He never used. I replace it with, yes, it's a new metal bracelet, but it will last for another life, and hopefully to my kids to have it. It's not that special, that precious watch, but it's something. It's just this, some shirts that I use were from my father. I adapted to myself. So you have to rethink really your daily habits and your options. Everyone is a free market. Everyone can buy whatever, but at the end, you really have to rethink if you want to contribute to this sustainable society. The other is refuse products that are manufactured by companies that do not perform good or so good environmentally, The next thing is to reduce, you have to reduce your usage, we buy too much. We have to reduce the amount of single plastic, promote more, using the textile bag to go to the supermarket instead of asking always, and you always forget. Okay, put a post-it in your kitchen to always remember supermarket, tote bag, textile bag, whatever you want to call it, and these 3 that I told, rethink, refuse, and reduce, are all before buying the product. So you are not buying, you are trying to find ways, rethinking, refusing to reduce. You are also reducing your use, so you will not buy it. But if there is the opportunity that we all have to acquire a product or a service, we have to implement the other R's policy. That is, if it's broken, we need to repair. But to repair, there needs to be incentive, because I cannot go to a repair shop and see that is more expensive to change the screen of my mobile phone, and I have to buy a new one. The repair, and the European Union just recently, the last Thursday, just launched also a new initiative on the right to repair. that people have the right. So they want to minimize the costs of repair to actually boost this repair of devices, of your washing machine, of your smartphone, of your tablet. So repair, when you acquire, is broken, try to repair or missing part. This could not be without, of course, the companies trying to design also out waste and pollution. So design more modular. So companies that need to design modular phones for me to be able to change the camera if I just need the camera, and not have all the mobile phone sticked and glued together. That is hard to get, and you need a specialist. So that's why, like, companies such as Fairphone, the mobile I use, it's a Fairphone, and this is actually a mobile that you can, with your, and it already has all the updated softwares, you can actually repair yourself. If I need to take the camera, I just unscrew this and I buy the camera from Fairphone, of course, has to be compatible, or other ones that I assume are already made for this. And you just change this. You don't need to change your own mobile phone or buy a new one. The battery the same. So, I mean, we really need to also have, it's not only people, it's also companies, also legislation, it's also governance that needs to play a role here. And of course, reuse, repurpose, try to reuse, after repair, or if you don't need to repair, reuse your old jacket. Don't buy that new one. Go to your, closet. Try to, if you don't like the jacket, try to combine two jackets. Ask a tailor to do a different colorful or less colorful, or join a sleeve in one jacket in the other. Try to reinvent yourself. Again, creativity, be a disruptor yourself. And repurpose, for example, the old tin can that you get your tomato paste, use it to plant, I don't know, parsley, coriander for your next meal. And at the very end, recycle. Because I really, I'm a supporter of recycling. Like, when you think about, I'm sustainable, I did recycling. Recycling should always be the last thing you should do to any product that you use, because you want to maximize the use of that product. Recycling, it also implies, is a good solution, of course, than landfill, than incineration. We all know that. But I mean, this recycling, and some part sometimes doesn't have alternative and ends up there still nowadays, but is still very energy intensive. You have a lot of process to do that, depending on what you are also recycling. And finally, the last R, it will be the products that you cannot really recycle. For example, food waste, organic, or you don't, just give back to nature. You are recycling, of course, but not in the typical way as we are used to call recycling, but reinstate this special, organic material through organic composting, to promote more soil fertilization if your house allows it, or if not, normally all the city halls has also collection or deposit systems in place for this organic waste. So I do think that overall, with now going a bit, and I will leave you space to also, I want to also hear your opinion actually on this, on the way we need to change the state of mind, and the way we need to rethink a lot before we do something. But then we are up against the fast fashion, the marketing, the promoting, the mobile phones, all the promotions is more this device to help you. This is more, a device to hold your phone, to don't, all these kind of things that we also need to be a bit more critic and have this constructive criticism and trying to find ways to do it better, because I do think we are not going to a good way if we keep the linear way of using, of making, using and disposing, throughout all this. It was great. All industrial revolutions gave us the comfort that we live today. We cannot, even oil, even provide us with a lot of other stuff, but we reach a point in that we really need to rethink our systems and the way we also do things. So these 3, now 7 R policy is very important, to have it as a staple mark of our daily lives, I would say.
Yeah, I do agree, and I support your words, because at the end, you are answering the questions I had for the takeaways, and I will give you after an open space to talk about whatever you would like to talk. But the thing is that at the end, being a disruptor, and it's everything we've been talking about is questioning yourself. And at the end, it's a matter of questioning yourself. And if you question yourself, maybe you realize how the world is nowadays, and maybe that we need an structural change. And the change came by anyone, by everyone. So you don't have to expect the others what you would like to do, or the governments. At the end,
Exactly.
you have to start by your own, and it could be a someone that you, or it's an advice that you can tell of our younger self, or the younger ones that are coming, who are coming. But yes, it is a matter of understanding of what we do, or the impact we are having with our actions, because sometimes we don't think, as you said, because recycling should be the last one, and you your answer let me think about a lot about it, because it's okay. Do I really need it? It's a matter of minimalism. But yes, I love your answer. And well, regarding the podcast episode, we are running out of time. You answered many questions I had. I didn't have to ask you, but now we give to the guest the opportunity to talk about whatever new opportunities, whatever you have in your mind. Now it's an open space for you, so feel free to talk about whatever you would like, and later we'll close up the episode.
Thank you very much. I could not go without, of course, stating that the European Union has been great progress on trying to tackling all these societal changes, and how we can become more climate resilient and adapt to also climate change through all this systemic, as you told, is a systemic change, is a holistic approach, holistic considering every point of view, every person and institution, organization from society. We really, really need this knowledge, and together to really don't point the finger one to each other, to citizens, to companies, to that, but all together combine really a global solution that is translated then to territorial, depending on your geography, of course, actions. But there is really this need of having this global action considering all society stakeholders, and I could not finish without like, okay, I mean, I'm here, I don't come from health, but I mean, I just want to finish really highlighting that, just remember that when we need to go to the dentist, when we need to go to a surgery, at the operations room, all the devices that are there, they all have precious metals, specific metals, critical metals actually for not only the energy transition but several sectors that the European Union economy depends on, and that's why the European Union is becoming more and more focus on providing and keeping materials and loops within the European Union as much as we can, because we are dependent a lot on external providers. And if they increase the price, if a war started, as we already seen in these last years, some products don't reach, and you need solutions. So it's very important that the next time you are giving a pacemaker to your patient, that this pacemaker have print circuit boards that have gold, silver, palladium, all these precious metals, that at the end, if then you can recycle it in a of course according to all the health safety rules that you might have, you are enhancing and boosting this economy and lowering the dependence on external. Is also a good way to minimize the footprint, because the products are already here. The metals were extracted somewhere else. The metals are known metals. We need silica to drink water from a glass. We need silicium dioxide, silica. So this needs to be mined somewhere else. So it's really like looking at objects and daily routines and really trying. I'm not saying to say the whole life cycle of a product, but to actually know. And then is the information also from the companies that sell that needs to be aligned on that. And people need to do a sustainable buy, knowing exactly. So that's why I love to be between the research and, the applicability, the interface between these two areas. And thank you for also seeing that I could see, research, but also business, industry, application. But I love to be, because I think it's a good balance, on knowledge and applicability, and what is, applicable and what not. Who says pacemakers, says magnetic resonance imaging, X-ray, all the machines, all hospitals uses. So just imagine the next time we are laying in a hospital bed, hopefully nowhere near, but at some point, I think we might have. We all have to think that all that materials, the bed, the linen, they come. It's a raw material. It's a natural resource that came from somewhere else, and that we need to incentivize to keep more these products here, and lower the impact on the environment, on society, and on the economy, because it's expensive also to import all these materials and all the footprint. So not only the machines, but joint replacements and broken bones repairs, all these need metal, specific, titanium. Also ceramics are playing now a role on that. So yeah, you have several elements. A mobile phone nowadays a smartphone has almost 80% of the periodic table, all the elements used pretty much. So yeah, we need to really pay attention to really what is the end use we give to these products, and before that, what is really our options, and how can we be informed, because all of us have information so accessible. Now is really where to actually see it, where to actually get the verified source, because nowadays there is also a lot of buzz that provides not so clear information, or not so accurate, and not so correct, or not correct at all. So it's very important. That's why it's very also needed here someone that translates the knowledge to the general population, because not everyone has to read a scientific paper. So, but yeah, there is some media already doing that, some, more sustainable oriented and more transparent oriented, that we can always look for research, on the laptop. Sometimes takes more hours, more days, but yeah, we need to be better informed to then make a better option, on the next thing we buy, on the next thing we choose. Even our streaming, the servers of your streaming service also have a carbon footprint and emit and energy intensive, especially the amounts of movies you have on streaming platforms. So, I mean, just a recent study in the UK of an energy company said that the amount of if all Brits would not say the classic thank you email, so just the thank you emails they measure, if all the Brits could send one less thank you email, they would save around over 16,000 tons of carbon a year. It's the same as over 80,000 flights to Madrid, from the UK to Madrid. So this is all things that we can put into action, and try to reduce our footprint. The world is getting more and more populated, more challenges ahead. And I think the Northern Hemisphere has really the responsibility to also enhance more sustainable growth, especially for the Southern Hemisphere that we all been relying on to be developed. All the resources, everything, the majority comes from the southern hemisphere of the world. And we know all the terrible sometimes conditions and social ethical issues that we have. So it's really more than our responsibility to actually think if I need to buy that, or what should I buy to promote a more sustainable and longevity and durability of something, because if you buy an next one, you are incentivizing this mining in Democratic Republic of Congo with all the ethical and social problems that this and health problems that this the same with electronic waste in Ghana, the biggest e-waste dump, where kids people don't live longer than 30 years old because they are all on top of this waste trying to get money from the metals, from all the waste that European and Northern Hemisphere countries send to this. It's the reality. So sometimes it's good to call out, to think, and to know this, because we really need to rethink our purpose in life, I would say. I would end up with this, and Gonzalo, don't know if you want
Well,
to
you
say something.
brought to the table many, many topics to think about it. So the audience will think about it after listening to you. And I will do it tonight because of you. But, well, anyways, obrigado, Francisco, to be in our guest in Healthcare Disruptor podcast. I hope you enjoyed the time we were recording, the same as I did asking you question and listening to you.
Thank you very much, Gonzalo. Thank you for promoting this. I mean, this is another great example of a KIC alumni community boosting, a bit public service. You are also trying to transmit more knowledge to not only to your alumni, to anyone that listens to this podcast. And I think knowledge is never enough. So continue promoting this. I want to advertise that anyone can reach me via my LinkedIn, of course, Francisco Veiga Simão. That's where you can reach me. But not only this, but follow all the EIT alumni activities. I have some news also to tell. I let this last minutes to actually tell you that this month we are opening the first ever alumni node to the alumni community. We had an official launch in November to call out this, and finally we did all the agreements and bureaucracy needed. And from this month onwards, and very soon, you will have a registration form, and all alumni from all the KICs, regardless the KIC, can use this space for co-working. We will have activities. You can actually create an event. And just boosting really this entrepreneurship, innovation, and the next change makers of tomorrow. Thank you so much, Gonzalo.
Thank you, Francisco, and goodbye to you and also to the audience. See you in the next chapter.
Visit community.eithealth.eu to join our community and shape the healthcare landscape with us. For more such videos, subscribe to our channel.